We need to talk about this. Main event, a Full Gear last night.
Oh, wicked.
From this recording, I should say, we are recording on Sunday night. MJF versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. I want to hear your thoughts on this, and I also want to hear what your guys' opinion on everything moving forward, including with MJF. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the media scrum after the fact.
Oh, he was electric.
I want to hear your take on this.
I haven't seen the scrum yet. I just watched.
You are missing a gem.
I'm gonna watch it definitely because I have heard he's amazing in it. Your two questions, Johnny, they go together for my answer. What do I think of it, and what do I think moving forward is? Finally, since September, AEW has been up in the air because the booking got completely destroyed by the media scrum after in September. We're finally back to get to where we were supposed to be going all that time ago because this match, I believe, was originally supposed to be Punk and MJF.
Yes.
For the title.
Yep.
So now we can finally get back on track. MJF was going to win the belt at Full Gear this year. It was going to happen. It is the best way to keep him happy till 2024 and keep him on TV, which keeps money in your pocket. I would like to say, off air last week, you guys know I did say William Regal would turn on Moxley.
You did.
That did happen.
You did.
It makes sense to me because the Blackpool Combat Club was kind of getting stale. Wheeler Yuta is too good of an up-and-coming star to be in a group with those other three absolute monsters of the business. Mox doesn't need the Blackpool Combat Club. Neither does Bryan Danielson or Claudio, for that matter. Regal is going to be your new Paul Heyman in AEW. I think it's a perfect position for him with MJF. I always liked old, mean William Regal. I liked him as a heel. I think this is going to be great. And I think it's going to be a lot different than the Paul Heyman because he doesn't need to talk for MJF. Nobody does, as we know. MJF talks for MJF. I think this is the spark plug AEW needed. I think this is going to bring them some mainstream media attention, and I think MJF is going to put his name out there as a pillar of the industry because I really think this is going to be an amazing title reign for him as long as he has it, and I think he holds it for a year. I think it's at least a year.
I think this whole thing is necessary right now. This is, like you had said, Coastal, what was probably going to happen anyway should have had like the Punk thing not happen and everything just get completely derailed. And 90% of attention on AEW was focused on the outside the ring stuff, the elite, Punk, the scrum, the fight, all that stuff. That a lot of what happened in the ring and what's been happening in the ring is being overlooked. Because a lot of the videos you still see, you go out there, it's still people talking about buying Punk's contract out. He's still not necessarily off the website yet. It's still the out of the ring news. This puts the focus right back on the title, right back on MJF where it should be. Let them focus on the in-ring competition now. Regal as a heel is the best heel, and I'm with Coastal on this. It is the best way for Regal to be right here. The Blackpool Combat Club, to be honest, I like the faction. I like Claudio. I like Mox, I like Danielson as a group together of these like experienced guys that can go forward and just kind of like run roughshod. I like that. Did they need Regal as a mouthpiece? I don't think so, but I think he fits as like these guys are like the evolution of what Regal kind of was. Really good in the ring, really good on the mic, but these guys are getting the chance to be in the main event. Regal didn't get a hell of a lot of that when he was like actually competing. So having him there and such a force behind this, I think a lot of people might have seen it coming once they were talking about like, you know, like the devil and being around and stuff like that. Regal has referred to himself as the devil before. And it's very, very interesting that they would pull that out of the past. And that was some old WWE stuff when he used to cut promos and different things.
Just real quick, speaking of that, did you hear right before Full Gear, the promo MJF cut? When he was talking to Mox, and he goes, "John, while you're laying there, I hope in immense pain." Like, he quoted the pipe bomb from CM Punk. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just thought that was really funny.
it's just very interesting going forward. I think the belt belongs on MJF right now. Mox did his bit for King and Country. He'll always be looked at as a main event talent, always worthy of being a champion. But it's MJF's time. AEW, not just their title, but the whole company needs this now. They need MJF going forward, being this complete ass. If you saw the media scrum afterwards, he basically dimed out everybody. He called all the press and everybody there a sucker. He even looked back at Tony Khan and said, "I even put this idiot over the other week, and you all believed it." And everybody in the room's like, "Oh." So like, it was really good. He is going to play the perfect ass of a champion. I don't know if he's going to play the cowardly ass of a champion, or if he's actually just going to go up and like beat people up perpetually. If Regal stays with him, I don't think we're going to see a lot of that cowardly heel shit. I do think that if Regal stays with him, I think it's going to just be a straight up fighting champion, and he's going to beat a lot of people. But I think this is the best thing for AEW going forward. And the media scrum was literally just the icing on the top of the cake, like that extra frosting that they put on the birthday cake with the little flour that you love to eat. It's like just a pure sugar shot. This media scrum done perfectly. The last one went off the rails really, really quickly. This one was dead nuts perfect from MJF.
So I'm right with you guys where this is by far the right move. I mean, the world's been waiting for this. I think since AEW became a thing and the world got introduced to MJF, and we all kind of went, "Who is this guy? This, like, this guy's good." And it's grown and grown so much since then. And what we've seen him do in the ring, on the microphone, all that, and how much interest he drummed up when he was away. Like that tells you something. That the guy disappears for a few months, and what did we talk about the most? MJF. So like, he's so good at garnering that, like, the old wrestling term, drawing money. It's just what he does. And I think I don't think there's too many people in the world that are better than him at it right now. And if any, he's at least, so I do like him with Regal, and to kind of how Coastal mentioned, like, not that MJF needs a mouthpiece, but I think it's almost like J.J. Dillon with the Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen didn't need a mouthpiece. They had Ric Flair, they had Arn Anderson, they had Dudley Blake. There were plenty of guys that could talk, but it was almost like JJ was the attitude for them. And that's what Regal's going to be. Regal's going to be the attitude for MJF. And that's what he was for the Blackpool Combat Club as well. He was the attitude. He set the tone for that group. And again, I agree with you guys saying that got a little stale. Those are 3 high-level main event caliber guys and 1 guy being brought along. It was weighed out wrong. Like, if you look at Evolution and things like that, it was always kind of main eventer, old guy, couple young guys to bring them up. And I think Wheeler kind of got left as number 4 too much in that group. And so I think those guys should kind of go their own way and do their own thing. They don't have to, immediately go into a feud like, "Oh, you saw this coming, now you do it," or one of them turn with MJF or something like that. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You could let them just all kind of go and break off separately, and eventually you can bring it back. And when you see Wheeler Yuta, face, Castagnoli for something, you could say you use this as backstory. But MJF is an absolute stud. He's gonna put butts in seats. He's gonna create pay-per-view buys, and it's the right move. I mean, And to talk about Moxley did a great job kind of being the, I don't want to call it fill-in for the last few months, but kind of like substitute, whatever you want to call it. But he did a great job with it. And I'm not the biggest Moxley fan. I like him. I think he's really, really good. I wouldn't necessarily always have him as a main event guy for me, but he's a guy that can be in the main event. I mean, there's probably a handful of guys that I like up there better, but he did a great job, and nobody could say anything otherwise. So, I mean, this was done really, really well by all involved. And you've heard me criticize some booking from AEW in the past, and I can't criticize much about this at all.
Considering the circumstances that Moxley literally had to cancel all of his vacation just to come back.
He gets that 8 weeks vacation back.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll take care of him.
Exactly.
Right now.
I mean,
Oh, they already have taken care of him financially, guaranteed.
yeah, so you kind of really have to give a lot of respect to Moxley being able to step in and fulfill that role that was vacant and made it actually last night one hell of a match. And quite frankly, in my opinion, I know there was a couple other good matches on the card. I thoroughly enjoyed that just because of the story that was building on top of that, the way Moxley and Regal and MJF went about promoting this matchup. I thought it was a solid job all the way around. I do have one more question for you guys about this.
Mm-hmm.
Does MJF have what it takes, now that he's the AEW World Champion, to boost the ratings and move the needle? Because ever since the whole CM Punk thing, their ratings have tanked by a good 300,000 or 400,000. Is this the right move, and can MJ pull it off to bring AEW back from the basement right now?
I think so, and the reason I think that is because MJF isn't afraid of anything that he is going to say. He's not going to let Tony Khan put the cuffs on him. So he's liable to go out there and say, I may not be the tribal chief, but I'm better than him too. And that's going to get people to turn the dial.
Yeah, good point.
Like, he is going to be one of those guys that is going to challenge wrestling fans to turn away from Roman Reigns after 2 years and go watch this young kid. And I think they put Regal with him as part to get some of the old wrestling fans to say, hey, Regal's with this guy if they don't already know who MJF is. I think this is the thing that makes it a little closer than it has been. I think some of the viewership return, but I think this is what helps push AEW even closer and back to where it really was a couple years ago, I think, in terms of being close with WWE. Not in ratings and money, because, I mean, money, they're never going to be that close. WWE has a 50-year head start on them. But at least in the public eye of being a comparable product.
See, to me, MJF and CM Punk are similar in many, many ways. Now, CM Punk has been around a lot longer of a time, but CM Punk is known for his off-script pipe bomb promos, going out and doing what he wants to do, especially when he was a heel. Like, go back and see the Nexus. The guy did anything he wanted to do. It didn't matter. MJF pulls that same kind of reign, but on a show where they're allowed to take the next step and go a little bit farther and push a little farther than that PG stuff. Are you going to get back all those people that came in and tuned in just to see Punk, like in the return and the weeks afterwards? Probably not. Those people may not be interested in seeing a guy like MJF because they may not want to give him a chance because his name is not CM Punk. Well, MJF is the evolution of a potential level of a CM Punk. As far as on the microphone, in the ring, you could talk about who's better, Punk or MJF. I think they're both very, very good competitors in the ring. I think they're both elite on the microphone. And I think that MJF can and will move the needle a little bit, but the question, I don't know the answer. I'm not qualified enough to say if he'll move the needle enough to the same degree that CM Punk will. But I could definitely tell you this, and this is with relative assurance, that the needle will not go backwards. It will go forwards. I do not think it will go backwards in the least bit.
I'm with you that, like, I definitely think they move forward from here. Whether it makes up the ground that they've lost, who knows? A lot of that's going to come down to booking and whose opponent's going to be, who he's cutting promos on and things like that. So if like the next move is putting him in there against somebody that the fans don't really think deserve it, whatever it is, then that will negatively affect his ability to move it forward. But I mean, who do you guys think is his first real opponent here? If Moxley goes away and takes his 6-week vacation that he's was promised before, so he's not getting rematched. It's not him right away. Who's the next step? And
can I take a stab at it first, and we'll all go around?
Yeah,
I'm thinking either Castagnoli or Bryan Danielson.
Wardlow. He just dropped the TNT belt. Let Samoa Joe and Hobbs beat each other up. Give us the Wardlow MJF match we never got.
That makes sense.
That's actually a very good one.
And MJF can still go over Wardlow. Wardlow can give him a hell of a match And then at the end,
There's
Regal
history.
can throw in some
There's
nuts and it's
history.
still
The
protect
story's
all
right there. The story's
Oh,
right
yeah.
there to start.
Yeah.
Story's already built. That's plug and play right there. Whether you plug it in right now or you plug it in, 6 weeks from now after the somebody already starts a
If you
feud.
want a mini feud, give him Ricky Starks. Have Ricky Starks win the Eliminator.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Give him Ricky Starks.
another good one.
There's 2 promo guys right there. Oh my God, the promos will be great. And the match will be good, and then give him Wardlow. Like, actually, I like Ricky Starks better right now because Ricky Starks is over like Rover. Oh my God, is Ricky over?
Go ahead, Marky.
I still think he has to go through Blackpool Combat Club. I think he's going to go through Castagnoli. I think he's going to have to go through Daniel Bryan. He'll have
Because
to go
of Regal.
through.
Yeah.
Right. Like he'll go through them, probably beat them all in great matches, but probably win and retain with horsecockery from William Regal. But it would make sense leading up, so you're creating a credible champion. In that regard, which makes MJF even more credible to beat people like Daniel Bryan, to beat people like Wheeler Yuta, to beat people like Claudio Castagnoli, to go through the whole Combat Club, and then you get the monster that is Wardlow, and have him come out, and then you can start telling that story. But then MJF has right in his back pocket that he beat, those 3 guys, Wheeler, Claudio, and Daniel Bryan. Oh, Bryan Danielson, excuse me. And then that sets even more in motion where now MJF has the bigger talking points of beating these guys. Who have you beaten? You lost your title. You didn't even get pinned and you lost your title. How good are you? You can give MJF that rant because he's already amazingly credible on the microphone. MJF is like, it's ridiculous. So if he gets that opportunity to run with it, huge.
So I like, obviously they have that title eliminator for a reason. I think Ricky Starks wins it. I think he that was going to be who I was going to go with was Ricky Starks. I do and you can set it up where MJF beats Ricky Starks and then maybe he's beating on him after the match or whatever, and then somebody like Castagnoli comes out, whatever, and you can start that head to head there. But I do believe an active competitor will join with MJF and Regal. Like a muscle guy. I think they're, it just
What do you have in mind?
I haven't decided fully. I think it could be Castagnoli. It could be Samoa Joe. Somebody like that. Just because Castagnoli.
See Joe.
Yeah,
that's not awful. That's not awful.
Because you look, MJF isn't a guy that has matches every week, and now that he's the champ, he definitely won't. He's going to be on your TV with the microphone in his hand a lot, but you're going to need to see some more physicality out of him or somebody speaking for him, basically. And I almost think he needs a heavy, a heater, a muscle to be with it. And I think whether it's the reason Castagnoli came to mind was, maybe he was in on it too, and he knew it was coming and all this stuff, and he could, Bryan Danielson gets the first shot at MJF, and Castagnoli actually helps MJF win there and joins something like that. But I do think you need an active big man body to be a heater for MJF, to take a beating for MJF here and there, to give a beating for MJF here and there, that type of thing. Kind of what Wardlow was. You need something not in the exact same way he's like a slave, but like a compadre, a helper, that type of thing. So I could see it being something like that, But yeah, I think the Blackpool Combat Club has to be in the immediate future.
It has to be dealt with.
Yeah, within a reasonable amount of time to be dealt with, because those guys are going to want MJF and those guys are going to want Regal. So it just makes sense to do that. I think Wardlow, it's already pre-written, but it's pre-written whether you do it now, whether you do 6 months from now. So when's their next pay-per-view? March? Like there's a good distance.
Yeah,
it's Revolution.
You got a while.
So you got some time
February,
to build up.
I think the end of February.
I think it's
usually
March,
Revolution.
March 5th. Is
okay.
what
So it's right around there.
Yeah. So you got some time. You got all of December, all of January, all of February. You got 3.5 months to to figure out and that's who the next major competitor will be. And I think that could be Wardlow while you go through the Combat Club until you get there. So, I mean, there's a lot of options here.
I tell you, I already said that I think he holds the belt for a year. You know who I think takes it off him?
Who?
Hook.
Holy Jesus.
I think
In about a year.
Let's save that for another video.
I think that would be early for Hook to go, but yeah.
Let's save that for another video in the future.
He's another one over like Rover, though.
So before we wrap this up, we haven't done this in a little while, and I kind of feel bad because he actually enjoys doing this. Coastal, will you give the YouTube audience at home a nice little disclaimer for us?
The views and expressions of the dudes on the Dudes and Belts podcast are those of the dudes and only of the dudes. If you don't like what you're hearing, please feel free to listen to something else, but you're not going to hear anything better. Thank you.
Changing it up every time. I love it. I love it. Guys,
He's not wrong.
thank you so much for watching. For myself, Johnny Death Drop, Coast Crusader, Marky Pins, and the one and only Sunday Night Savior. We will see you guys next week for another video. As far as our live chat here, we're going to have some fun on Dudes and Belts After Hours. We are live every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on twitch.tv/Rocky Mountain Pro. Hopefully we'll see you there. As always, folks, stay safe, stay classy, and we'll see you on the next one.